Hello guys, Orange here, and this is another replay analysis video. This one is focusing on playing as Ana, countering Winston, Tracer, and how to play Dorado defense. We'll show positioning. Obviously take the high ground. Playing with the soldier on this high ground. Mercy's playing in this corridor because with Mercy you don't need to stand out in the open, you don't need to be able to get hit. And Ash is playing with sightlines on high window and on the door, and Winston's playing on this high ground, mainly just to stop people going up there and to drop down if he needs to. So I'm going to spectate myself from first person. First thing I do is throw a sky grenade, obviously. It doesn't hit this game, but always try, eventually you'll get good enough.
2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the pain.
So the Winston positioning stops the Ash's jump. In this sort of fight between the two Winstons over there, you want to notice that I'm shooting the enemy Winston a lot more than our Winston, and that's because as Ana, your damage is quite useful to the team, you know. I'd shoot the Winston if we needed to, because I'd always be able to out-heal their damage on our Winston. So I can mostly focus my utility on damaging their Winston. So another thing I noticed is that using the sound, I know that Tracer's sneaking up behind us, so I ping her, obviously. Pinging very useful to your team. In low ranks, a lot of people don't take advantage of it, but it will help you. There's no negatives to it, at least. So something about this game to mention is my aim is terrible. And it's a bit embarrassing, but it can also kind of teach that the aim doesn't really matter that much as long as you have the game sense. So yeah, I'm dealing with the Tracer now because Winston doesn't need healing. He's not on full health, but he doesn't need healing, you know. As a support, your job isn't just to heal. You need to be doing damage, putting out pressure. And if I don't focus on the Tracer, we got a 2v1 at the moment, an advantage with Soldier and Ana versus Tracer. So we may as well try and deal with her. So force out the recall. I throw the anti-nade to help Winston because I'm pretty sure that with Mercy now helping in this fight, we're not going to need the anti-nade in the 1v1 with Tracer. So I throw the nade to help Winston and Tracer backs off. And again, I hear Tracer coming back. Winston goes on high ground. Again, I'm shooting their Winston, not ours. I go shoot Tracer again. Again, just putting pressure on the Tracer. A little bit of pressure on the Winston. I missed my anti-nade. It's kind of a big deal. Right, so we're getting into interaction with Winston now. I want to make focuses. So the first thing is that your two abilities are both countered by Winston's bubble. So knowing when Winston has a bubble is a big advantage to you. This bubble here was too early. Needed to be put down on the ledge because as you'll see, I could punish this pretty easily with my sleep currently off cooldown. Oh, he doesn't make it up there. But I suppose that's kind of why he couldn't make it up there, because he would get slapped. He needs to rely on his bubble. This is the bit I was talking about before. He's not got bubble, right? I'm still remembering that from the last time. His bubble's not off cooldown. You could sleep him, and that anti him as well. I'm not going to need it for the healing. We might get a kill off it. It's just extra damage. It's burst damage on the Winston. Their Winston lives. Tracer's next to me, but I kind of need to heal Winston a little bit. Again, I'm not worried about Tracer killing me, because in a second I have nade off cooldown. And we have a Mercy with us. Try and put out a bit more pressure on the Winston. Again, missing my shots. It's a bit embarrassing, but... Okay, here we go. This is it. Winston gets... kind of misplays his bubble. He gets slapped for it. That's kind of a big deal. I did slightly miss time to sleep again. It's not a perfect match, but the talker points are there, like... We could have punished him for that. He gets slapped. The Tracer dies in a push. Sojourn dies to Winston, which is a bit unfortunate. And Ashe dies. So now the fight is a bit different. They don't have Tracer, so I don't have to worry about this angle. Tracer died. They have an Ashe over there. Lifeweaver over here. Winston's over here, right? So our space is still kind of this high ground. They don't really have that much of a pressure against us. So as long as Winston lives, it's still a winnable fight, really. So yeah, they don't actually have this space. You can take a fight against a Winston, especially if you've got Mercy on your team. If the Mercy can heal you, you're as golden. So yeah, that was a mistake again by their Winston. When a Winston enters the area controlled by Ana, he needs to have support from his team, really. Because if he just uses bubble, the bubble can get broken, he can get pressured out by the other team. He needs support to take this area. Like an Ashe, maybe taking the corridor to the left here. Not sure where Ashe is. Is she just flying here? Yeah, not really that useful over there. Tracer misses pulse. Ana's on Winston, so I go to help him here. Because, if I don't, Ana could land the sleep on Winston, and then Tracer could peel, and that could just be a dead Winston. So I go to peel. I've got nano, so even if he gets antied, sometimes it's alright to nano because of the, what's it called? Damage mitigation. He's also got primal rage. It's not that big of an issue. Tracer retreats. We get a replacement for our teammate that left. So again, from the sound. You can kind of know when the cooldown's used, so like, you know, the Ashe is used her cooldown. The Ashe cooldown's kind of something you got to watch out for because she can kind of play like a sudden dive and might win the 1v1 against you. You know, because she can two-shot you. Right. I do need to point this out. So, one thing I do that a lot of people don't do is I play with lock nano on. So I can use it and then actually not press it until I need to, right? And I lock it on the Mercy here because she's low. And I don't use it immediately. This is just, if I need to, I will use it. When she puts Valkyrie and then doesn't die immediately, cancel the lock, get back to shooting. So you lose a bit of value there, but it's kind of a nice safety net that I would recommend doing. It's not going to lose you the fight not shooting for like half a second maybe. So This is maybe a bit of a something to mention here. I kind of felt like Winston should jump here. My argument being, I'm pretty sure we can kill that Winston if he like pursued. Uh, and live easily. Like it's not even close. However, Winston, as you'll see, did not feel like that. Maybe didn't know about the Winston. Guess a bit of a lack of the value, I don't know. And you see a lot of people like saying, "Oh, they messed it up," but the fact is, I need to be on the same page as Winston. And if you, as your runner, aren't supporting your teammates correctly, even if they make a mistake, it's kind of also your fault. You've got to take some of the blame of it. Like, maybe not your fault, but it's not entirely the Winston's responsibility to like make the best use of this. So this wasn't a bad play by Winston. This was a bad nano by me. It's just a fact. The Winston wasn't ready to make that play. Sometimes you can save your nano until after they've already committed, which is what I do a lot with people I'm familiar with because I know their gameplay a lot more. And the late use nano, the better, obviously, because as long as they're alive, obviously, you can get the most value out of it. So yeah, that was kind of a bad nano by me, even though there was a good situation to use it. The team just wasn't in the same place, like mentally. So therefore, it was my bad nano. So at this point, as you can see, I ping tracers on point. I don't actually ping the tracer. I ping the wall. I need to stay with Mercy because maybe I don't, but I just feel like it'd be the best to because we can kill the Winston really. We should be able to. Yeah, so I land the sleep again. So you need to like step inside these bubbles. You need to know when you can. Staying with your other support is a good benefit against Winston's. That's why you play Tracer Break, not Tracer Break, Ana Break, because the Break can pack you to protect you. Same with Ana Mercy already. I can shoot her to heal her, she can beam me when she needs. It's kind of like a mutually beneficial relationship. Winston primals me, which was gonna happen. It didn't matter that I already used my cooldowns though, because again we've got Mercy. We should have a lot of pressure fire. Although the Ashe is shooting the other way. I'm not sure I'd agree with that, but again, I'm not the one playing Ashe, so it doesn't really matter what I think. I get knocked off, and then I see that Winston was busy doing something else, and the ping on Tracer going on again. So Tracer's still on payload. Obviously know this the entire time, but a bit unfortunate, to be honest. Almost gets stopped. I guess I probably could have left Mercy. I'm not sure. I think Mercy might have died. Again, you know, it doesn't really matter if you go blaming other people, you're still the one that loses or wins the game. Just play better, you know? Tracer's still there, so we lost the point, you know. However, though, even though we lost the point, it was still, you know, a call to make. You use the sounds, which are such a key part of the game, and then you ping. Pinging sounds, that's how you deal with flankers like Tracer. You need to communicate with your team, because as a character, Tracer's pretty weak, you know. Like, if you can collapse on her, if you know where she is, she can be in real trouble. So that's kind of your main way to deal with Tracer, is you need the audio. It's so useful. There's not really much more to the interaction. There is obviously knowing whether to use cooldowns, like what side of recall and stuff, being able to hit your sleeps. But if you can use sound to your advantage, most of the ranks that'll just massively improve your interactions with Tracer as Ana. Tracer gets nanoed. It's just a weird fight. Soldier and Mercy are in the back line. I'm not going to help them. Not my fault. They're dying. Whatever. Soldier ults behind them. Again, it's insane. What can you do? I try and help him. I don't want to go there though, because if I go there, the Winston just jumps me, I just die. And I've just thrown the fight, not Soldier. I try and help him, not the most I can do. So one thing to notice here is that I'm not taking the high ground positioning. And I'll explain that more in a second when the team actually gets there. I throw sleep out a bit too late on Tracer. Right. The position here is quite interesting. Normally Ana will be on the high ground with the rest of my team. However, if I am on the high ground and they like dive us successfully, maybe Mercy, Lifeweaver, Winston, I'm not sure. Anyway, Mercy can only heal either me or Ashe. And now realistically we should be able to kill the Winston. But we don't want to put the Mercy in that situation. However, when I position down here, I lose the sightlines over here, which were already not really my job to contest. It's Ashe v Ashe, both have Mercy pockets. But I gain the fact that I can heal Mercy if needed, because she can just drop down to me. I can put more pressure on the Winston. I can also have like kind of easy anti-nades by throwing them against this wall. Now, a lot of them can be done from up here, but again, the main benefit is Winston can't attack both the Ashe Mercy and me at the same time. I'm a lot less diveable down here. I lose sightlines, but in this situation, I decided that was worth it. Just because, you know, it's all situational really. I think I'd get dived less here. I'd live more. That's good enough already. Anyway. So Winston uses bubble. I throw the anti-nade. It doesn't hit. But again, I'm not going to get any more use of it. So I try and hit it, even though it's a difficult one, because even if you don't hit, well, what's the worst? You'd lose nothing. Winston keeps diving Mercy. And this is a miscommunication between me and Mercy. I go to this door for her to fly to me. She wants to fly to me at the other door. That's my bad. However, I do recognise that's happened and try to go back to the other door, heal the Mercy. So yeah, I save the Mercy when she gets dived by Winston. You know, that's kind of my bad there, to be honest. I should have stayed there. Again, use the sound. So you can hear Ashe activate Bob, but you can also hear the direction he's running. And you can also kind of like assume it. Like, the enemy team aren't idiots. They're probably going to send Bob into this room. So again, I immediately start backing off. Mercy has a different idea and goes forward to the door. I take a little bit of damage from Bob, but you know, who cares. However, I still want my room positioning. I could have been punished for that. My timing was bad. I got like triple blinked or double blinked or whatever. And then I took damage from Bob and Tracer at the same time. Try and hit sleep on Tracer. I hit a shot. So the interaction with Tracer is obviously 2 hits killer. She can recall in the middle of being hit by the second hit though, so she doesn't die. But if she wants to regain her health, she has to recall after 1 hit, after about 2 seconds. So 1 hit, 2 seconds later, she's probably going to recall. Because if not, then she'll be 1 shot again after she recalls. When you got the Mercy with you though, it's a lot easier. Like, you're not going to die to the Tracer pretty much. So again, you use the sound in the Tracer Viana matchup. I know that she's climbing the stairs. And I know that she's going to get squished between my team. So I just kind of go to help them. Arrow jump behind me again. I hit a shot and then a sleep. That was pretty... it wasn't really that nice to be honest. She was kind of trapped. So again, you hear Winston ults. Hear Wary ults. Mercy and me save the soldier. I don't drop down. That's a bit of a key point here. So I do have sleep and I could drop down. However, when I do, let's just say I hit it. In a perfect world, we still win the fight. Because it's a 4v5, you know. But it does invite risk into the situation. Because you have less people controlling the high ground. If Ashe gets hit by the other Ashe, there's no healing for her. Soldier's not going to die because Mercy's there. Mercy was going to go, I would drop down. So there's no real risk to the Winston at the moment. And when you're taking it more of a... at the risk of the two situations. If you drop down, there's some risk, but you're probably going to win the fight. I got less chance of like automatically winning the fight by not dropping down, but there's no actual risk. So yeah, that's kind of the risk, is that if this collapse onto Winston was communicated better with the Ashe, and then their Winston also came out, our Winston would be at a lot of danger if I was on the low ground now. And those are the two differences between the situations. So Tracer is here. I can't really say soldier here. But I know she's here from sound again. And I saw the Winston go there. Far off asleep. But you know, it misses. The thing is, Winston doesn't have any way to accurately pressure me here. However, in this situation, if you're looking at the Winston's movement, I think he quite clearly wants to take this fight, at least. And that's the reasoning for the nano. So last time, it wasn't as clear that he wanted to take the fight, I just thought it was a better fight to take. This one, I'm not sure if we should have taken this fight. But, in my opinion, Winston wants to take the fight. And that's the difference between your job as Ana. If you're in a team you're fully communicated with, you know them well, you take the best fights. But when you're just playing a support solo queue, you probably just take the fights. You let your tank take the fights your tank wants to take, you know. And it's your job to judge that. If you're wrong, you're wrong, you know. It's still your fault. If you mess up. But you don't want to take the best fights. You want to take the fights your team is most comfortable taking. So the Winston dies me. And if you look at Winston, it doesn't have bubble because placed it down here. It's gone now, but he did place it down here. Again, this is another thing about the interaction, is I don't have the cooldowns, he didn't have any cooldowns, but I have a Mercy. And we have the Ashe on the high ground. There's not a real fight there, to be honest. Winston uses bubble to protect his team, I believe. I try and get damage off there, and accidentally let Winston die. Again, it's a mistake. I thought Winston would primal. He didn't. Is it my fault? Is it his fault? It doesn't really matter if we lose. You don't need to go sign and blame. Anyway, so from sound, I know Tracer's behind me, that's why I turn around. Go for the sleep, but miss it. And now I jump off. So the reasoning for this is, I have no cooldowns. They're Winston. That's our Winston. They're Winston. Oh, spoilers. He's just jumped up here. He was obviously about to. There's no reason for him not to. You just need to kind of predict where Winston's going to jump in this matchup. So we're going to this high ground. Obviously, that's where he wants to. I mean, it's quite simple. Like, maybe I'm trying to making it sound more complicated than it needs to be. But Winston's going to come to this high ground. And I have no cooldowns to match him. I jump off before he has the chance to come to this high ground. Because if I don't... Another thing is Tracer dies, like, after I jump off. So just a Winston on this high ground. I can actually just live. Because I have the Mercy Pocket. But since Tracer's consistently been coming up behind me, and she was again, you know, there's no reason to risk it. No way Mercy dies there, obviously. We just go for a reset. I go to take high ground again with Soldier. Soldier jumps down, but I still try and keep it because Winston just jumped down. And if you heard that ding there, that was in place and bubble. So even though Soldier just jumped down, Winston can't jump up at me and bubble me and then I miss my cooldowns. He just doesn't have that option anymore. You see, he's jumped off. Yeah, I know he doesn't have bubble, right? So normally I wouldn't sleep there because if he had bubble on cooldown and he hears the cooldown, Winston's going to be listening for these cooldowns as well. And your sleep dart, maybe it's not that easy to see, but for me as an Ana main, when someone else shoots their sleep dart, I know. So I can shoot this here, however, because I've heard that he's placed that shield. So I don't need to worry about him placing shield and then ulting and killing me. Or something else. I don't need to worry about this cooldown. Because he doesn't have it. So I sleep him. I do ping him. You can see it popping up, but you don't hear the ding sounds in replay. I go for the anti. And then I retreat because... Soldier's going this way. Again, you can hear that from the footsteps. Although your teammates' footsteps are hard to see. Anyway, the main point is that Winston's about to get jump again, if he doesn't already have it. He does. And I would be in a bit of danger because... Tracer's here. And if you blink this way, that way, and then to me, I can easily get squished between the two. And even if I try and run through that door there, Tracer can still catch me. If I run through this way, Tracer still catches me. So I retreat early because that interaction's going to happen. I come back up when our Winston's up here because there, Winston has less of an option to jump me now. Again, in this interaction, I'm putting pressure on the enemy Winston, not our Winston. Not healing, putting pressure on the enemy Winston. I'm still shooting bubble to destroy it. Give him a little bit of a top off. I need to kill Mercy. She's like the main situation there. This is kind of the situation I was not looking forward to. When I was first talking about why I didn't take the high ground, in the Mercy, Soldier, and me can get jumped at the same time. There's a bit of a difference in this situation here, though. Winston's kind of misplayed this in that he doesn't have bubble, I have sleep, and I have anti-nade. He just dies. He gets hit by all our cooldowns. Doesn't matter because they've lost the fight now. Tracer jumps me. This time I don't actually notice it, even though I think I was mostly focused on Winston. But I should have. That's why you sound. It doesn't really matter though because I've got the Mercy with me. I do hear this one,
You won't regret it.
and again the pings. This is why the pings are useful, so your team knows where the Tracer is.
Never hear from you. 60 seconds remaining.
I do not mean to shoot a sleep dart there. That was just a mistake again. Putting pressure on the Ash, it doesn't really matter much, just farm a little bit of damage. Retreating kind of early, because Ash is obviously going to try and take the high ground. I don't want to take the 1v1, even though I could win it. Probably, maybe. Who knows? But I just don't want to take it. It's not the kind of fight I feel like taking. It's personal preference there. So first thing, when the Tracer walks out is I see the Tracer. I don't think I actually managed to ping her here though. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe I fingered the button. Because I just pinged the floor there. But in this position you should have pinged that Tracer anytime you see her. I definitely saw her though because I looked back at her just to check on it. And the soldier knows she's there, so maybe I did manage to ping her. Anyway. Maybe the soldier's just making good use of the sound. I miss my sleep, which is bad. However, I walk forward, try and be saved by Mercy. I can't because of Primal. It's just a reset. Mercy does die, which is unfortunate. It is lucky that we do kill both their supports there. So Tracer puts pressure on Ash. I'm just healing till I get in position. Nano the Winston, because this Winston clearly wants to jump point again. We could have delayed it, to be honest. Maybe we should have tried to use my cooldowns on Winston, get rid of him, and then we put pressure because we could also pressure the Winston at the same time. However, our Winston wants to dive. It's not my job to be like, oh, I'm not nanoing because it's not the optimal time to nano. It's my job to support the team as a support. If you're gonna complain about being called a healer or whatever, make sure you actually do supporting when your team needs support. So yeah, none of the Winston to allow him to go in. He doesn't have bubble, so I use anti and sleep on him. My plan is kind of for him to get killed there, but he doesn't, which is unfortunate. I retreat into this room because if he goes after me, their team's kind of low and they got no supports. Which would kind of be a mistake from them because then they'd die and lose. So he could kill me if he wants, but I'm just trying to take him away from the fight if he wants to kill me. They send him Bob. Their Winston dies anyway. You know, he was low health. So I hear the Mercy coming. However, I am low. And if I try to fight the Mercy, I might get killed by Tracer. Because Ash has tree, so she won't die. So Tracer can just leave Ash to come kill me if I try and kill the Mercy. So I need to position where I can't be attacked by Tracer, pocketed by Mercy at the same time. So I kind of just allow the res to happen, to be honest. Because if I don't allow it, we might get punished. They might still get the res off, and then we'd be an honor down in the fight. Again, it's kind of a what risks do you feel like taking? And I don't feel like taking that loss risk. So the Winston gets res, I sleep him again. Because it's kind of a bad habit of Winston players is when they get rezzed, if they're gonna bubble, they bubble immediately. Do not ever wait like half a second or 1 second or something. They bubble immediately or don't bubble. If the Winston had good habits and didn't do that, wasn't extremely obvious with the playstyle. I would have lost the sleep there, which would have been unfortunate. But he doesn't have those good habits, so I anti him. We put pressure on the Winston again. Again, I'm shooting their Winston, not our Winston, because pressure on the enemies is a lot more important than healing your teammates, unless your teammates need healing, and you need to know when that is going to be. Winston dives me. Again, no bubble. I sleep him. However, I still retreat because Tracer could kill me. Winston again can't chase me. I'm kind of positioned here so people can't chase me. I could have gone to high ground, but that would have put me out of the fight for too long, in my opinion. So again, I don't go to high ground. I just stay in this kind of little cubby hole. Soldier ults, kills the supports, kills the Tracer, Winston dies, and that's the end of the fight. So, some key points about the interactions we're focusing on is when you're playing against a Winston, you need to watch his bubble. If he has bubble, you don't sleep him while he jumps you. If he jumps you, and you sleep, and he has bubble, he can bubble as a reaction to it. He doesn't have bubble, but you don't have sleep, and that is worse for you than it is for him. Apart from that, as long as you know where your other support is, you can play weird positioning around the Winston. Play well with your other support, and you can kind of just destroy him. It's not really that hard of a matchup, as long as you know certain things. Yeah. You also don't want to sleep him just because you can. Is something that I see sometimes. In the higher ranks, tanks will play to bait out cooldowns. I mean, that is the job of a tank, but a lot of people don't understand that. But also because in the lower ranks, the team won't know how to make the most of their tank baiting out these cooldowns. So some of these times when I could have slapped the Winston, I didn't, because if I did, I would have been more vulnerable against Tracer, for example. You sleep people when you need to, when it would be beneficial to, but you have to know the positives and negatives of it every time you do it. So that's the interaction with Winston. We're going to talk about the interaction with Tracer. Again, this is just a sound, to be honest. Apart from getting good aim, which I clearly did not have in this video, just so we're clear. This gameplay here was not carried by aim. This was just a pure showing of game sense, really. I had terrible aim in this match. But your fight against a Tracer is entirely based off sound. If you know where the Tracer is, there's not much they can do against you, as long as you manage your cooldowns well. Dives coming from the Tracer and the Winston, not that much to worry about. And as for the point, which is the map, I think a lot of people know it, but I'll just bring it up just in case. Is that you do hold this high ground, obviously. And even when they've taken over here, for example, this is such a defensible position. Because any attacks from this side, like the loudest thing in the world, and there's just really one point of entry, except over here, but you can keep an eye on it. So here is your main point of entry for the enemies. As long as you play around this high ground positioning well, don't give it up too easily, unless your tank dies. If your tank dies, you've got problems. And when you play with other people, you need to know, you need to figure out how they want to play. So the first nano in this game by me was poor, because Winston didn't want to take that fight. I figured out what Winston wanted to take, and then you nano then. purely advice for people without comms, obviously, because when you've got comms, you don't even need to try and figure that out. But anyway, that's about it for this game. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.